Watch out! A madman! Oh yes. Look more!
Man with no money make a woman happy in a relationship.
I think so. Yes. Yes. I'm gonna say no.
No. Hell no. Absolutely not.
No!
No.
Hell no!
How he gonna make me happy?
How you gonna make her happy with no money?
Yo, this is funny because my initial answer would have said she's capping. But then again, you have to really look at the cultural difference. Because as you can see, the snow bunnies have a different mindset than the melanin ladies. So when you really look at it, it really depends on where you are, and it depends on the mindset of that female. But majority overall, no, you cannot. But you do have that minority of women that will still stick with you and support you even if you're broke.
To the person who deserves me, I don't know where you are right now. Maybe you're still out there figuring things out, healing from past versions of yourself, preparing to love me in the way that I've been waiting to be loved. Maybe we haven't met each other. Maybe we have, or we're just waiting for the timing to catch up with the truth. But when we do find each other, when it's finally our time, I want you to know this. I will love you with a full heart and not a half-healed one. I will show up not just when it's convenient, but when it matters the most. I will choose you in the small moments, the quiet ones, not just the ones that look good on paper. I will never make you question whether I see you, whether I want you, whether I value you, because you'll know. See, the person who deserves me isn't perfect, but they're ready. Ready to meet love with the same energy it's given. Ready to be soft where the world has been hard. Ready to be safe where others have been reckless. Ready to love with intention and not just emotion. And when we find each other, we won't have to force it. It won't be built on proving or performing, on chasing or convincing. It will be solid because we both choose to show up whole and not broken. So to the person who deserves me, when we cross paths, just know I've been preparing myself for you, just like you've been preparing yourself for me. And when it's time, we won't have to question it. We'll just know.
Moral of the story, take time for yourself. Take time to heal, take time to grow, and put yourself in uncomfortable situations that will push you to grow into a better version of yourself.
So you agree that there could be a perfectly suitable partner for a man who is a Christian. One of the things that happened to be in her past was that she had all of these sexual partners, but now she has found Christ. So in that case, yeah, it wouldn't be right for him to consider that if she's changed.
Yeah, no, it would be totally right for him to consider it.
Why would he consider that?
Because it would still show a pattern of not upholding the same virtues he's looking for.
In the past, but not currently.
Well, your past behaviors is generally a really good indication of your future behavior. If you were to say, like, he had a crystal ball in front of him,
right,
and he could see the whole future, sure, I wouldn't dispute that. That would be baked into the fact of knowledge itself. He has pre-existing knowledge this will not happen, or some really overwhelmingly good, compelling evidence it wouldn't. But absent that, which I would argue in most cases they wouldn't have, then it would show a pattern of behavior against the same virtues he's looking for, where he could select for somebody who's upheld those virtues.
So in regards to what he's saying, I get what he's saying. Like, basically what he's saying is that it's a higher risk of being with a woman that has a promiscuous past, because it's a pattern. There's a pattern of behavior there, and not a lot of people really put in the work to really change from those patterns, because patterns are something that are really hard to break, because it comes with a lot of underlying factors. And he didn't even touch on the fact where it was concerned for peer bonding. Now, peer bonding, it happens in both men and women. However, for women, it has a different reaction. So for women, for the more sexual partners that you have, it decreases your ability, and each time it affects you as the woman way differently. For example, let's say you sleep with one guy, your ability to peer bond may drop to about 95%. and then let's say you slept with 3 guys. By the time you got to your third guy, let's say it decreased by 30%. So you get the idea. So with your ability to like have a lesser chance of peer bonding with somebody to form a deep and long-term connection, it increases the risk of that woman falling back into old habits or not being able to really maintain that level of energy or that level of lifestyle to really walk in the same path as the man would, morally prefer. If you get what I mean. I hope you get what I mean.
But I love the fact that, Manny is younger and it's very helpful that he's handy. And when we travel, I'm not picking up any bags. He's the one that's hefting them overhead. He throws the garbage out. He does the heavy stuff.
Well, right, Sonny, but plenty of times, every single one of you on this show slammed men and called them misogynists for saying that they prefer women who clean, cook, and take care of the children. Yet now you just praised some of men's duties like picking up your bags and taking out the trash. So to me, it sounds like you have no issues with gender roles when it benefits you.
You cannot make this up, fellas. Like, he said it all. Like, I see it a lot. Like, women will talk about how much they want a traditional man, but they don't live a traditional lifestyle. They'll talk about how much they're independent until there is some heavy lifting needed to be done or some handiwork needed to be done. That goes out the window. But hey, it's a double standard that we can't do anything about.
Puberty is not an assembly line that you could just push a button and restart. That is a increasingly disproven scientific theory right now. Chloe Cole is one of the most famous detransitioners who, she's in her 20s and she was sold a bill of goods, and when she was 16 she said, I think I'm a man, and she went on a very, very aggressive regimen of hormone blockers and puberty blockers, and she has huge regret, and hopefully one day she'll be able to have children again. But it gets back to a question of so I'm just making a point, though, that these ideas have consequences. It's more than just a silly question. Oh, what is a woman? That if you can't answer it, or at the very least say that you should allow minors to become adults before they make these decisions, then, and this is not a small thing, the quote-unquote gender-affirming care, we know that in California you have to be 18 years old to get a tattoo, and yet 14-year-olds can go to what we call a doctor and get a highly aggressive hormone replacement therapy treatment, sometimes without even notifying their parent. And all of these are ramifications of the inability to answer very simple biological questions.
I would be interested in seeing your exact study or citation for when it comes to puberty blockers, because I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people, there's a lot of people who end up on puberty blockers not because they're necessarily trans, but because they're going through puberty too early. And there are clear negative side effects and consequences of, let's say, a 10-year-old girl getting her period.
That's a separate. You're right.
But it's used on cis children. I think what you're talking about is precocious puberty.
But it's not used on perfectly healthy, physically able-bodied children, right?
So instead of listening to really understand what the guy was saying, she listened to just reply. She was just more focused on what was his reference. If I'm hearing correctly, she said,
I would be interested in seeing your exact study or citation for when it comes to puberty blockers.
That he should make reference to what he's talking about because she knows people that blah blah blah. Listen, look, I never thought the day would come when society could not define what a woman or a man is. I never thought I'd see the day. But essentially, this guy said it all. I really don't have anything to comment on this.